The afternoon. Everything changed. In January 2011, an aircraft with no official name and no public acknowledgement took off from a military airfield in Chengdu. It flew for 15 minutes. Nobody in the West had seen it coming. American analysts had calculated that China was still years away from flying a fifth-generation prototype. They revised that estimate before the aircraft had even landed. What that flight started is one of the most compressed military aviation transformations in history. From a single prototype above a Chinese runway to more than 300 operational stealth fighters, 2 simultaneous production lines, carrier-launched stealth jets, swarms of low-observable drones, and sixth-generation aircraft already airborne, all of it in less than 15 years. This is the complete story of every stealth aircraft China has ever built. Chapter 1. The Dragon Wakes, the J-20 and its family. The J-20 Mighty Dragon is a twin-engine Delta Canard stealth fighter, and it was not designed to win a dogfight. It was designed to make a dogfight unnecessary. Its primary targets are the platforms that keep American air power alive at range: the E-3 Sentry airborne early warning aircraft, the KC-135 tankers, the command nodes that coordinate the entire force. Kill those, and the F-22s and F-35s become isolated, short-ranged, and blind. That was the mission the J-20 was built for. Its first flight on January 11, 2011 was almost certainly not accidental timing. Then U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates was in Beijing that same day. The message was received. The J-20 entered PLAAF service in March 2017, making China the second country in the world and the first in Asia to field an operational stealth fighter. In March 2022, a U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry failed to detect an approaching J-20 until it was dangerously close. The Pacific Air Force commander confirmed it publicly and described the encounter as a genuine concern. From roughly 50 airframes in 2020, J-20 production reached 300 by mid-2025, a 5-fold increase in 5 years. The factory in Chengdu building them is larger than America's entire F-35 production complex. Annual output has been estimated at between 70 and 100 aircraft per year. By 2025, China was operating more J-20S than the United States operates F-22S. The J-20A is an upgraded production variant with enhanced avionics and integration of the WS-15 engine, a domestic turbofan that finally gives the aircraft the supercruise capability its airframe was always designed for. The distinction between the baseline J-20 and the J-20A was made official in the most public way possible on September 3, 2025, when China's V-Day parade became the first military parade in history to display 5 separate stealth fighter types simultaneously in the sky above Tiananmen Square. The J-20S is the variant that points furthest into the future. A 2-seat configuration, it first appeared publicly in 2021. The second seat is not there for a weapons systems officer in the traditional sense. It is there for a drone commander. One pilot flies the aircraft. The other manages a formation of autonomous wingmen. No air force has fielded this capability at scale. China is building toward it right now. Chinese state media confirmed in March 2023 that J-20S are used in opposing force training to simulate F-35S. That is China's own assessment of where its aircraft stands relative to the most capable Western fighter in service. Chapter 2. The second stealth, FC-31 Gerfalcon and the J-35 family. That same engine gap that haunted early J-20 production also shaped the origins of China's second stealth fighter. The program that became the J-35 started not as a military requirement, but as a private bet. When Xinjiang Aircraft Corporation lost the fifth-generation competition to Chengdu, they kept developing their design anyway, using internal funding and the belief that there would eventually be a customer. They called it the FC-31 Gyrfalcon. The FC-31 made its first flight on October 31, 2012, just over a year after the J-20. It appeared at the Dubai Air Show in 2015 as an export demonstrator. AVIC was pushing it for countries that could not join the F-35 program. Then the PLA Navy took an interest, not in the export version, in a carrier-capable variant. That changed everything about what the program was. The naval J-35 flew its revised prototype on October 29, 2021, fitted with folding wings, reinforced landing gear, and a catapult launch bar. 3 years later, on September 22, 2025, it launched from China's carrier Fujian using an electromagnetic catapult and recovered with an arrested landing. The first stealth fighter anywhere in the world to complete EMALS operations at sea. Technically ahead of the American F-35C, which had not yet launched from the USS Gerald R. Ford, despite that carrier being operational since 2022. Chinese state media revealed that the J-35's radar cross-section is smaller than a human palm, roughly the size of a sparrow. That was credited to its special fuselage shaping and the use of metamaterial stealth coatings, a technology China has been developing aggressively since the early 2000s. As of early 2026, the carrier variant carries the official plan nickname Blue Shark, continuing the tradition that gave the J-15 the name Flying Shark. The land-based J-35A, designated Yunlong or Cloud Dragon by the PLAAF, made its first flight on September 26, 2023, and was officially unveiled at the Zhuhai Air Show in November 2024. By October 2025, over 57 airframes had been manufactured across both variants, with serial production confirmed at Xinjiang's facility. In beast mode with external hardpoints, the J-35 carries up to 12 missiles and 8,000 kilograms of payload. In stealth configuration, the internal bays hold 4 to 6 PL-15E air-to-air missiles with a reported range of approximately 200 kilometers. China is now the second country in history, after the United States, to simultaneously operate 2 different production-line stealth fighters, a heavy platform for range and air dominance, and a lighter multi-role for volume and carrier operations. The J-20 and J-35 mirror the F-22 and F-35 so precisely that it cannot be coincidental. Chapter 3. Invisible Teeth. The GJ-11, the Dark Sword, and the Loyal Wingmen. Not all of China's stealth programs carry a pilot. The GJ-11 Sharp Sword traces its origin to the AVIC 601-S program of the early 2000s, an internal competition that produced 7 conceptual designs, of which 2 entered serious development. One was the GJ-11, optimized for low observability. The other was the Dark Sword, optimized for speed. They represent 2 fundamentally different theories of what an unmanned combat aircraft should be. The GJ-11's first prototype flew on November 21, 2013, making China the 4th country to successfully fly an unmanned combat aerial vehicle after the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. That early version was not particularly stealthy. The engine nozzle was exposed. The shaping around the exhaust was unrefined. What appeared at the Beijing parade in 2019 was an aircraft that had been rebuilt from the inside out, with a buried exhaust, serrated weapon bay doors, and edge alignment across every panel. The redesign was so thorough, it was effectively a new aircraft. By August 2025, satellite imagery showed three GJ-11S, now officially renamed Mysterious Dragon by the PLAAF, deployed at Shigatse Air Base in Tibet, at nearly 12,400 feet elevation, approximately 90 miles from the Indian border. The implications were not subtle. On November 11, 2025, marking the PLAAF's 76th anniversary, China released the first air-to-air footage of the GJ-11 flying in formation with a J-20 and a J-16D electronic warfare aircraft. That three-aircraft combination is now understood to be China's blueprint for a penetrating strike package. The J-20 leads. The J-16D suppresses enemy radar. The GJ-11 strikes targets the manned aircraft never needed to approach. A naval variant, referred to unofficially as the GJ-11H or GJ-21, has appeared as mock-ups at Chinese carrier test and training facilities, designed to operate from the Type 076 amphibious assault ship Sichuan. The drone that started as a technology demonstrator has become the leading edge of a doctrine. The dark sword, and jian in Chinese, is a different kind of ambition. It first appeared as a concept model at the 2006 Zhuhai Air Show, generating significant attention and then 12 years of silence. Photographs of a physical prototype surfaced online in 2018. Where the GJ-11 trades speed for stealth, the dark sword does the opposite. It features a diverterless supersonic inlet, edge alignment, sawtooth surfaces, and a dark gray radar-absorbent coating shared with the J-20. Its estimated length is roughly 30 feet. The intent is clear. A supersonic unmanned fighter capable of air-to-air combat, flying ahead of manned aircraft into engagement zones no pilot should enter. Whether it has yet flown remains officially unknown, while the GJ-11 and Dark Sword represent the high end of Chinese unmanned stealth development. China has also been building what it calls loyal wingmen, smaller and more numerous drones designed to be controlled by manned aircraft and to extend their reach without replacing them. The FH-97, developed by Aerospace Times Feihong Technology Corporation and unveiled at Zhuhai 2021, is China's answer to the American XQ-58A Valkyrie. It carries internal weapons, a multi-band data link compatible with J-20 and J-35 formations without any modification to the manned aircraft, and can reach combat zones within a radius of 1,000 kilometers with more than 6 hours of endurance. Its chief designer described the drone as a sensor and an ammunition depot and an intelligent assistant for pilots, all in the same airframe. The FH-97A, unveiled at Zhuhai 2022, took that concept further in every direction. Twin engines replaced the original single, diverterless supersonic intakes, replaced the dorsal scoop, allowing supersonic flight. The weapons bay was redesigned to carry up to 8 air-to-air missiles rather than ground attack munitions. Rocket-assisted takeoff was added, eliminating the need for a runway in forward deployments. A catapult-compatible variant appeared at Zhuhai 2024, confirming the FH-97A's future in naval aviation alongside the J-35. Chapter 4: Flying Wings Over the Desert. The HAIL programs and the Malan mystery. China's most secretive stealth programs are not fighters. They are the vast, unmanned platforms operating out of a classified test base in Xinjiang that most of the world has never heard of. The base near Malan has appeared in commercial satellite imagery with increasing frequency since 2024. What those images show has forced a reassessment of how far China's unmanned aviation has traveled. The CH-7 is the most public of China's large stealth drone programs, developed by the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, rather than AVIC. It is a high-altitude, long-endurance flying wing design, the Chinese equivalent of programs like the American RQ-180. Its first known airborne footage appeared in 2025, captured from the ground near a test facility. The CH-7 is assessed as a deep-penetration ISR and strike platform, optimized for the kind of long-duration missions over defended territory that no manned aircraft would be sent on. Then there are the platforms at Malan that have no confirmed designation and no acknowledged program. In March 2026, satellite imagery captured two massive flying wing drones simultaneously on the main apron of the base. The larger of the two, nicknamed by analysts the WZX, or the Monster of Malan, has a wingspan of approximately 173 feet. That is roughly the width of a B-2 Spirit bomber. The second design uses what engineers call a cranked kite planform, with a wingspan of approximately 137 feet, and appears to have a significantly higher gross weight despite the smaller wingspan. Both aircraft have been flying for a number of months, according to archived imagery. Neither has an official name. Neither has been officially acknowledged. At the same Malan base, analysts have identified a third type in satellite captures, a fighter-sized unmanned design whose planform closely resembles the J-56th generation manned fighter. Whether it is a drone technology demonstrator, a loyal wingman prototype, or something else entirely, is not publicly known. Chapter 5: The Bomber That Isn't Here Yet. The H-20. China's H-20 is the most consequential aircraft in this story that has not yet been publicly confirmed in flight. The program is understood to be a flying wing strategic bomber, developed by Harbin Aircraft Corporation and Xinjiang, with the stated goal of giving China what it currently cannot deliver: a penetrating deep strike platform capable of hitting targets far beyond the first island chain without relying on forward bases or tanker support. China's current long-range strike force rests on the H-6 bomber, a derivative of the Soviet Tu-16 First designed in the 1950s. Whatever modifications and upgrades the H-6 has received over the decades, its fundamental architecture was laid down before the first satellite was launched. The H-20 is meant to replace that with something that could hold at-risk targets across the Pacific. The flying wing design, similar in concept to the American B-2 and now the B-21 Raider, would dramatically reduce the aircraft's radar cross-section while increasing its range and payload. The H-20 was expected to appear publicly at the Zhuhai Air Show in 2022, then in 2024. Neither happened. As of 2026, there is no confirmed flight, no confirmed public rollout. The silence around the program may reflect genuine development delays. It may reflect a deliberate decision to keep a strategic asset classified for as long as possible. What is clear is that without the H-20, China's stealth arsenal remains powerful at the regional level and limited at the global one. Chapter 6. Ahead of schedule, the sixth-generation prototypes. On December 26, 2024, Mao Zedong's birthday, a date Chinese aerospace engineers have a documented history of choosing for significant first flights. Two sixth-generation prototypes took to the sky simultaneously from two different Chinese cities. The J-36 flew from Chengdu. The J-50 flew from Xinjiang. Western analysts had not expected China to fly a sixth-generation demonstrator until the late 2020s. The assumptions were wrong by several years. The J-36 is unlike anything that has flown before in Chinese service. It is a three-engine, tailless flying wing aircraft with a side-by-side two-seat cockpit, a configuration that analysts associate with long-range fighter bombers rather than pure air superiority platforms. Estimated takeoff weight falls between 99,000 and 119,000 pounds, significantly heavier than the J-20. Its weapon bay is 60% longer than the J-20's and 40% wider, with an opening area of approximately 20 square meters. The three-engine layout, two conventional inlets under the wings, and a third breathing through a dorsal intake, is assessed as necessary to sustain supercruise at approximately Mach 2.2 given the aircraft's wide body configuration. Analysts have estimated a maximum range approaching 4,300 kilometers in standard configuration and up to 6,000 kilometers in mixed cruise profiles. At least 3 prototypes had been confirmed flying by early 2026. The J-50 is a different answer to the same question. Smaller than the J-36, it features a cranked arrow wing configuration that some analysts have compared to designs explored by Western programs. It is assessed as the lighter component of a sixth-generation high-low pair, following the same strategic logic that paired the J-20 with the J-35 in the fifth generation. The J-50 appears optimized for agility and carrier compatibility. A flight was reportedly conducted on December 20, 2024, 5 days before the J-36, making it technically the first of the two to fly, though both became public simultaneously. On August 5, 2025, a third unidentified tailless stealth prototype was photographed in China. Different silhouette from both the J-36 and J-50. Pointed nose, highly swept wings with cropped tips, a W-shaped trailing edge with a central triangular extension. Its manufacturer is not confirmed. Its designation is not known. It may be a crewed aircraft competing with both existing designs. It may be an early prototype of a sixth-generation loyal wingman drone. Nobody outside a small number of Chinese engineers knows. The United States Air Force has publicly acknowledged that China's sixth-generation program may reach initial operational capability before the American F-47, which is not expected to fly before 2028. One assessment, cited widely in Western defense circles, described the gap bluntly. In flight test chronology, China clearly moved first. The parade of drones at Tiananmen on September 3, 2025, included 2 large tailless unmanned designs designated by analysts as UCAV Type A and UCAV Type B. The Type B carries serrated exhaust nozzles, a supersonic inlet, and what appears to be internal weapon bays, sized for air-to-air missiles. Both aircraft carried serial numbers linked to a real PLAAF brigade at Malan Air Base in Xinjiang. China assigned them operational unit markings before anyone in the West had formally acknowledged they existed. The arithmetic of transformation. In 2011, China had 1 stealth prototype and a military aviation industry that the West still regarded with condescension. In 2025, it had over 300 operational fifth-generation fighters, 2 stealth types in simultaneous serial production. The world's first carrier-launched stealth fighter using electromagnetic catapults, a deployed stealth drone force flying operational missions near the Indian border, loyal wingman systems publicly presented as combat-ready, and at least 2 sixth-generation manned prototypes actively flying while America's equivalent had not yet left the ground. Every aircraft in this story was built using the full range of methods available: licensed production, reverse engineering, technology transfer through purchase and through other means, foreign engine acquisition, and finally genuine domestic innovation at industrial scale. The J-20 used Russian engines for years before the WS-15 was ready. The J-35 benefited from everything the J-20 program learned about stealth shaping and materials. The GJ-11 was redesigned completely after its first flight. Each failure or limitation produced the next iteration faster than external observers predicted. 20 aircraft programs in less than 20 years. Some operational, some in production, some still flying classified test profiles over a desert in Xinjiang that appears in satellite images but not in any official briefing. The J-20 over Chinese carrier formations. The GJ-11 flying in formation with manned fighters above Tibet. The J-36 banking above Chengdu, 3 engines running, 60-plus feet of weapon bay. A chase plane struggling to keep up. The arithmetic of this transformation is not ambiguous. It points in one direction. And it is not finished.